Hi there. So today's short webinar, we're thinking about the impact of long-term tummy lying, so prone lying. This is not to be mixed up with proning, which is all over the news with regards to better ventilation for COVID-19 patients. We are working on a webinar to cover just that topic alone for people with complex disability. This is intended as a webinar for people interested in what's the predictable long-term impact of somebody sleeping on their tummy for a very long period of time. So I'm going to why is it important? It's important because, and I say this every single time, but the way we lie is the way we sit. The way we sit often dictates what we can do, how we feel, what we can enjoy, and the extent to which we participate. And it doesn't matter which aspect of somebody's participation you're interested in, somebody with disability, your own participation. Actually, when you work your way back, the way that you lie is really, really important. So let's take a quick look, and we should be able to see a short video that I put together with my daughter Nell this morning. Let's take a look.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So what we're going to do is take a quick look at some of the problems that happen when you sleep on your tummy night after night after night after night. Okay. So we're thinking about people who we're thinking about people with hip and knee flexion contractures, so they can't fully straighten at their hips and their knees. So it's usually people who have limited mobility. So lie down for me on your tummy. There we go. So let's have a quick think. Now, we could start at her head if we want to, and we can think about the idea that if kids are in school for however many hours and however many weeks, it turns out, if you add all the numbers up, that kids are in bed 3 times longer than they're in school. And we need to be really mindful of all the stuff that we do in school and that we do at home and that we do when we're awake. Actually, if we don't get bedtime right, then we're kind of on a bit of a hiding to nothing. That we will undo all the good work that we do during the day if we don't get nighttime right. So one of the big things that we see during the daytime is people who have difficulty because their head is turned to one side and life is going on in front of the person, and yet they're forced to look over to a different side, and we have to move their chair around and we have to do X, Y, Z, and we do all sorts of things and exercises to try to bring the head back into the middle. Now, it's always worth asking for somebody who does sleep, who does have their head turned to one side a lot during the day, what position do you sleep in at night? Lots of people who sleep on their tummy have a strong head turn, and it will always be to the same side. And the reason it's always to the same side is because we start to see changes in the rest of the body that mean it isn't possible to adopt an alternative position on your tummy. It will be the same position over and over. So if we start at her head, Nell's likely to have, we're reinforcing her head turn. If we think about her chest and we think about gravity pressing down, people who sleep on their tummy, we've put her spine on top, which is heavy. And we've also got this, you can see that she's not completely straight. We've got some rotation in here. So we're going to have, what will we have? We'll have anti-clockwise rotation of her chest. So we'll have a chest and spine that's very squashed, but it's also twisting. So we've also got scoliosis going on in there. Then when it comes to Nell's lumbar spine, so that bottom bit of the spine, that's really heavy. And as that drops forward, then it will pull her pelvis into an anterior tilt. So what's going to happen is that the front of her pelvis will come forward, and it'll make it more difficult when she's sitting. When we think about her pelvis in relation to her legs, her pelvis is not only going to be tilted, it's also going to be rotated because it's going to be coming around this way. So basically, when it comes to lying, whatever's sticking up is going to end up flattening. Okay, that's the general rule. So if you imagine that this side of Nell's pelvis is sticking up, it's going to flatten, it's going to come round. And her legs are going to be forced in the opposite direction. She's also got that flexion, because not doing anything there to try to prevent any further flexion, so she could end up with her legs getting tighter and tighter. So all in all, we think about prone lying, we think about being in prone for people with complex disability as a long-term position. We think about it a bit like a lemon meringue pie. So if you have somebody who's lying on their back, then you put all the heavy stuff on the bottom. And if you have somebody that's lying on their tummy, then all the heavy stuff goes on top. So we end up, and this is, and I can't stress it enough because we're thinking about long-term positioning. We're not thinking about proning and all of the stuff that's been talked about with regards to COVID-19. We're thinking about the known patterns of distortion. What would happen if we were to leave somebody sleeping in prone forever and ever and ever? So we know lemon meringue pie, you've put the heavy stuff on top, we'll compress the chest, we'll get rotation of the chest because we'll have a head turn. We know that the lumbar spine will drop down, it will pull the pelvis into an anterior tilt, which means that when you come to sit, then we end up with that position. So people who sleep long-term in prone end up with that position, usually with a very typical arm posture and also with a head turn. So they come to your seating clinic, they come and we have huge difficulty trying to sit people comfortably who sleep habitually long-term in prone. Sorted? Uh-huh. So just check that I get my audio back on again. I have whittled away for a while this morning and realised I've not recorded anything. So if you need any support at all, if you'd like a nighttime positioning assessment, please email steve@simplestuffworks.co.uk. If I can help with regards to training, please email me at training@simplestuffworks.co.uk. You will get a far quicker response, and I much prefer to work with Twitter. It's just faster for @postural care to find me, and we can run live webinar sessions if there's very specific queries that you have. If I don't know the answer, then I know somebody that will. So we can please do get in touch if there's any way that we can help you at this time. Right, I shall look forward to talking to you all again soon. Take care. Bye.